Good morning, everybody. We thought we'd take a few minutes and put together a video on our Thousand Trails membership. We get asked this a lot from our different viewers, especially at the end of the month when we put out our monthly expense report. We get questions about how does Thousand Trails work, and do we really like it, and what are the campgrounds like. So thought I'd take 10 or 15 minutes and kind of cover the highlights of our membership so that you have a better idea. So when you go to the Thousand Trails website, you'll see the map here, and it shows the 5 zones, which is $575 a year. And with that, you can pick one zone, and I think you can probably add another zone for $50 or something. And this would be a good way to supplement another camping style like boondocking, and then you wanted to go in and stay at a park and have electricity and water and sewer and all that stuff. So maybe buy a zone pass down here for this Arizona, California area, go boondock for a little while, and then come stay at a Thousand Trails for a week or so with full hookups, and then go boondock somewhere else. Or using it in conjunction with some national parks. If you're a senior and you get in half price at Zion and Yosemite and Yellowstone, kind of use a combination, staying at one of them, visiting one of them, and then go stay at a Thousand Trails. So that works pretty good. Or if you're still working, using it for your vacations or your weekends. So there's a lot of good uses for a zone pass. We don't have this one, so I'm certainly not an expert in it, but from what I understand, you can stay like 2 weeks at a time, and then you have to be out of all Thousand Trails parks for a week, and then you can go back for a stay of 1 to 14 days, and then you got to go out. And you get a certain amount of nights totally free, I think like $50 or 50 nights. And then I think you have to pay a small fee for each night, $3 or $4 or something. So it's a pretty good deal, but it's a perfect deal for if you're still working and to take vacations and do weekends. We decided to after the zone pass, you can step up and they have a whole bunch of names, but the main name that you hear these days is the Elite membership. And that lets you buy all these zones, 81, these dark brown sites. And here's a better map. Here's the 81 campsites that is Thousand Trails. And with an Elite Pass, you get all of these. You can another disadvantage of the zone pass is you only have a 60-day reservation window. So you getting that close, especially in the summertime and holidays and stuff, you could plan on going to some popular park and it be full, not be able to get a reservation. Most people, I just don't think, plan much more than a few weeks or months out, and 60 days is enough of a reservation window most of the time, except during the summer and the weekends of the summer, and the holiday weekends of the summer especially. With the Elite membership, you get 120 days, and I think I read that you get even more. Now they're offering even more than 120 days. But that you'd have to buy a new Elite membership, and that's like $8,000. That's about all we're going to talk about the zone passes. The Thousand Trails that we recommend, and for full-timers, is you get all 81 parks, and you can stay from 1 to 21 days. And then you can leave where we're at. I mean, today we're at Hershey RV Park in Pennsylvania. And when we leave, we'll leave like at 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, and we're going straight to Timothy Lakes, 100 miles up north, that same day. So we'll leave, I think, next Monday, and Monday night we'll be at Timothy Lakes for another, I think we're there 13 days or something. But you can stay 1 to 21 days and then move to the next park and stay 1 to 21 days. So all year long, you could stay in Thousand Trails 365 days out of the year. We do a monthly expense report that we post on our YouTube channel. And for the last 12 months, we've averaged $6.79 a night for camping. We've spent a total of $2,400 in the last 12 months on campsites. When we're out of Thousand Trails, or at some of the Thousand Trails, you have to pay $3 a night to get 50 amp electricity service. And you generally always choose to go that way. We like to stay hooked up to 50 amps so we can run all of our appliances. In a quick nutshell, what 50 amp means is you'll see some RVs with a smaller electric cable to hook up, and that's for 30 amps, and then a bigger one that is almost twice as big, that's for 50 amps, and it has 4 prongs. The 30 amp has 3 prongs. These are just, this handout is made from the people from Progressive Industries, I think it is, that makes the real nice surge protector that you need on your RV. And it talks a little, in the meeting, he explained it pretty clear to us how the difference in 30 amp and 50 amp. Is 30 amps, if you look here, that's 30 amps on this. This is your 30 amp plug-in. And from your 120 volt tab on your plug-in to the neutral, that's 30 amps you get. And this here's just the ground. So forget about this round one on both of these. So just play like you got these 2 plug-ins, just like at your house. When you plug in something, you have two plug-ins and then your little ground. So forget about that. Here's 30 amps. On the 50 amp, here's your neutral. You have 50 amps going to this circuit and 50 amps going to this circuit. So on a 50 amp service, you have 100 amps total coming to your coach. Whereas on a 30 amp, you just have 30 amps from this hot to this neutral. So it's 30 amps compared to 100 amps. And you don't hear the word 100 mentioned very much. You just hear 50 and people think it's not that much difference. But you have 50 amps on this leg and 50 amps on this leg. And generally, this leg here will service the driver's side of your coach. So all your plug-ins and stuff will be on this leg. And this leg here will service the passenger side or the curb side of your coach for your plug-ins. And if you have 2 air conditioners, they'll put 1 air conditioner on one of them and 1 of them on the other. And that's done back at your circuit box. Whichever circuit breakers, they'll plug in the air conditioner to a circuit breaker that's wired to one leg, and then your microwave will be wired to one that's on the other leg. And they balance it out so that you will probably only be using 50 watts. I'm sorry, you'll be using about 50 amps maximum on each side of your poppet circuit breaker. So anyway, that's why we go with 50 amp, because you're getting 100 amps of usable power. You're getting 220 volt circuits coming to your coach, if that makes sense. So that's why we pay the $3 extra, so we can run all 3 air conditioners, the microwave, the coffee pot, the washer dryer. All of that can be going at the same time, and it's a non-event. If you buy the membership to include all the 81 campgrounds where you can stay up to 21 days at a time and go park to park, that costs you roughly $3,000 or $4,000 to buy it used. If you buy it new, you won't really get any information on the Thousand Trails website. They want you to call because it's fairly complicated and fairly expensive. The new Thousand Trails memberships, my understanding is they're like $8,000 or $10,000. I've heard bigger numbers up to $12,000 and stuff, but you buy it and then you have to pay annual dues. So what we did and what we recommend is people, once you buy these, most of the memberships you can resell, not your annual zone passes, but your regular memberships. You can the original buyer buys it for say $8,000, and then he can resell it for say $3,000. Some of the benefits go away, like the original owner can leave it in his will to his kids. He gets super good deals. There's cabins at all the campgrounds. He gets good deals on those cabins. There's a number of benefits you get as the original owner that the second owner doesn't get. And then the second owner can usually sell it to the third owner. But some more benefits get stripped away. Once you're the third owner, the value goes down. My understanding is you can't resell it. We purchased ours for $4,000. We're the second owner, and the company we purchased it from said we probably can sell it for around $2,000 when we get ready to sell it. We can, after you have to pay dues for 2 years, but after 2 years you can put it on hold and not pay any more money and just forget about it, which would be foolish. You'd be better off to sell it. But some of the old contracts you have to pay dues forever. They don't go away until you die. So that's one thing you want to watch out for. The newer ones, I think that's gone. But we purchased ours through a company called Campground Membership Outlet. It's owned by a gentleman, I don't remember his name. We dealt, and I think most of the folks deal with his sister, Kimberly, and she's great to deal with. We sent them an email. No, I think we called, and then she emailed us right back. And this on the 10th, May the 10th of last year, you can see we emailed several times this one day. She sent us a list of the different memberships, and then we would email her back and ask her about different ones, tell her what we was interested in. And as you can see, a year ago they were running 4,200, 3,800, 3,700, 3,500, and it kind of, the contracts are all of them are written up. Used to be written up a little bit different. You could add benefits in, or they'd take some out so that you could get the price where you wanted it. But that's roughly kind of what you're going to pay. I think they may even have gone up in the last year, but probably in that ballpark. And you want to, like I say, they have annual dues. We pay $612, I think, a year. And it talks, about what's included. The main things you want included is, in my opinion, the benefits that we've seen from ours is you want the 120-day you want the elite membership. Ours is called Sapphire Vacation Package, but it's an upgraded membership that has been upgraded to be the same thing as the elite membership. And so just use the word elite and look for elites. If you get something that's not called the elite membership, another name, ask them if it's the same thing as the elite membership. But you want the 120-day windows so you can make advanced reservations 4 months in advance. You want to be able to say that you want to be able to stay the 21 to 21 days and then go park to park. For us, that's very important to be able to leave this morning, 1,000 Trails, and go to our next destination this afternoon and stay there that night. We don't have to be out a single day. We average about 1 week a month out of 1,000 Trails. For the year, the last 12 months, we spent 314 days in 1,000 Trails and 51 nights out of 1,000 Trails. And that averages in a month 26 days in 1,000 Trails and 4 days out. And like a couple of weeks ago, we wanted to go to Niagara Falls, and there wasn't 1,000 Trails close. And a few months ago, we were down in South Texas. We wanted to go to Big Bend National Park. And sometimes you stay at some friend's house, park, out in their driveway if they have room, or at your kid's house or something like that. But usually it's because you want to go somewhere that there's not 1,000 Trails close to. You want to make sure that all 81,000 Trails campgrounds are in your membership, and you want to for sure be at least The second, you want to be the second owner, or at least the third. But the second owner, you're going to be able to sell it and get a little bit back. The third owner, you'd need a lower price because you're not going to be able to resell it for much of anything, is my understanding. And I'd like to recommend, there's a couple of companies you can find these memberships on the internet, on eBay and Craigslist, and do it on your own. But the memberships are really in my mind, for an old guy like me, they're pretty complicated. You can read them and kind of figure it out, but you won't totally be sure because it's written in that lawyer doublespeak. This company, Campground Membership Outlet, we highly recommend them. That's who we bought ours from. You can buy them from some other companies that are probably just as honest. But and these guys, if you do get a membership from them, I'll put our email down here. But if they'll ask you, did anybody recommend you? And if you tell them Bob and Pearl Cadell gave you their name, they send us a check for $50. What we do with that $50, we put it in a fund, and we try to make videos with other folks that are full-timing or thinking about full-timing, and we make more videos for you guys. We've got one set up next weekend and another one set up about 2 weekends away with again with Tom and Chris. They live in Philadelphia. They're going to drive out and spend the day with us next Saturday or Sunday, and they're thinking about going full-time. Then we're going to meet a couple that's I think from Tennessee, but they're already full-timing now, and that's Jeff and Lori, and we're going to meet up with them at Roundout Valley here in a month or so. And probably they indicated that they wouldn't mind doing an interview. So my point is, if you give Campground Membership Outlet our name, they'll send us $50, and that money we use to, when we do these videos, to take the couples out to dinner and tell them thanks for taking the time, for driving over and all that stuff. So it's not like we're trying to make money off of it or anything else. It's just what goes around comes around kind of thing. So one of the questions that a lot of people ask about Thousand Trails, and we've kind of complained about it a little bit, is some of the parks are a little bit outdated. That was more, we were complaining about that more last summer and fall when we were just learning about Thousand Trails, and mainly because it seemed like back here, a lot of these up in the Pacific Northwest, we stayed at most of these, or well more than half of them, and almost all of them had the dirt gravel roads, and that was a beautiful weather-wise, but it wasn't a whole lot of rain or moisture, and so dust would be flying around, and dust would get in the camper, and on the car, the car would be set out in front. We wouldn't go to town for a couple of days, and RVs driving back and forth, and it just stirs up dust, and there'd be some little potholes in the road. And seems like most of the Thousand Trails were probably built in the 70s or maybe 80s, and so they're just kind of have a dated feel and a dated look. But the campgrounds are in some great locations, and some of them are right on the ocean or a mile from the ocean. As you can see, a lot of the campgrounds, especially really everywhere, are generally located on a river or a lake or a small, big pond, and a lot of them have canoes and little paddle boats and stuff like that, where you can either rent, or a lot of them they're free. The employees at Thousand Trails, our experience has always been just totally awesome. Everybody seems to be very friendly, because a lot of the employees, if not most of them, live there in the park, and they're probably retirees, and they're getting either super discount or free or something like that to stay there. And they drive around in their little carts all day long and try to make sure that things are the way they're supposed to be, and people are following the rules. All the Thousand Trails, they do an excellent job, it appears, on swimming pools. Every place has a swimming pool, and we've never seen any where the water wasn't just crystal clear and shiny, and very inviting. And the pools seem to get used a lot. A lot of them have hot tubs, and a large percentage, 20 or 30%, it seems like the hot tubs are out of order. And maybe not that many, but there were several that they were out of order, either upgrading or just something was wrong. They all have and generally it seemed like all of the, when you check in, there's a gate to get in. You have to have a reservation. You have to check in. The parks all have a laundry room. They have basketball courts, a swimming pool. They have tennis courts, paddleball. And the campsites, most of the campsites are, we have a 42-foot RV, and we've never had a problem finding a site big enough for us. What you do is you come up, and either at the ranger gate, if it's staffed, you talk to him, or else sometimes they're not staffed, and so you go up to the office and check in, and they give you a map, and they give you the rules. They give you a calendar of events, what they've got going on. And then you drive through the park. You can either unhook and drive your car through, or drive your whole rig through. And you look and find a campsite that you like best, or the ones that are available. And so most sites have got a couple hundred campgrounds. We like checking in on the first of the week, because it seems like that's the slowest, and you have the bigger selection of sites. And we've always found a good site. A couple times we'd find a site. Some of the at the Thousand Trails campgrounds, a lot of the sites, you'll see a map, and they'll have full hookups with 30 amps, or full hookups with 50 amps, or maybe it's just water and electric, 30 amps or 50 amps, but no sewer. So the sites have all got kind of different, and they'll be color coded. So if you're only there a couple of days, sewer doesn't really matter. If you want to be there a couple of weeks, sewer is important. So often we've drove around and found a nice campsite, but in a non-sewer location, and so we'd go ahead and take that, because all the sewer sites were full, and each RV has a little tag in front of it saying when they're leaving. So you just, as you're walking through the park, walking your dog or whatever, you just kind of pay attention, looking for campsites that are going to be vacated that you like, and then you just keep an eye on, when those people move out and that opens up, then you go over and move into that site. So that we've done that 2 or 3 times. We've got a site that we didn't really love, but within just 1 or 2 days, 3 days, we've pretty much always got to move into a site that had full hookups, had just what we needed. I think Bend, Oregon, none of their sites have sewer. We've been there twice. Once just overnight. That's where we spent our very first night. And then this fall we were headed from Oregon over to Nevada, and we cut across and stayed at Bend for like 3 days. But if you have sewer, if you have everybody has holding tanks, so we didn't have sewer hookups. So, 3 days you just wait till you get to the next campground and dumped in. So the sites, especially in the Pacific Northwest and really everywhere, some of the sites is they've cut out a big section, whatever. I'm not sure the size, but 20, 30 acres. Some of the sites are a couple of 100 acres. Some of the campgrounds are a couple of 100 acres, but they'll cut out the whole thing, and it'll be inside of a clearing, all the campground, with no trees in it, and trees surrounding the campground to give you some privacy, or to give you the illusion that you're out in the middle of the wilderness, when in fact you take the drone up and you'll look, and there's a highway a mile or 2 over here, and there's a big factory over yonder. But when you're in the campground, we never see or hear any of that stuff, and it feels like you're out in the wilderness. But you may be a town or a housing or a golf course just 300 or 400 yards on the other side of some trees that you'll never notice. So one of the big things you want to do before you buy your membership is look at where the campgrounds are located and see if those are places that you want to go to, either sites you want to see or where your family and friends live. And for us, it's worked out great because we've got family all on the West Coast there, and a family here in Texas, and up in Indiana, and then this here we just want to visit. This is part of the country we've never been to on the East Coast that we just want to see and go to and experience. So for us, at least for a couple of years, we're just going to travel the country, staying at 1,000 Trails, and if something's not close to 1,000 Trails, we'll go stay at a KOA or whatever. But in a nutshell, that's how. Oh, and dues, you have, like I said, annual dues. We pay $612. We also purchased the Trails Collection, which is another 100 parks, and they're located. The Trails Collections are these blue ones and these kind of tan ones. So these are the three areas that most people winter. This is where it stays warm, the warmest in the winter, supposedly in the 70s. And these blue ones are Encore parks. We stayed at 2 Encore parks in South Texas here, and we'd stay at one for 3 weeks, move to the other one 20 miles away for 3 weeks, and then back, and then back. So we spent 4 months down here in South Texas and never spent a penny on campgrounds. And then these light tan ones, they got them scattered up around the country. But the problem with Trails Collections is there's only a 60-day reservation window, and you can only stay 2 weeks. We bought it because we're going to winter this winter down in Florida, and there's only 3,000 trails, and we're thinking we may want to go down here a little bit into the Keys, and you don't have to stay very long because we'll stay for free for up to 2 weeks at a time. So if we just stay for 1 2-week time, 14, that's like $15 a day, and that's a pretty good rate to stay at a campground. Hope that helps. Kind of a nutshell of how 1,000 Trails works, and thanks for watching.